What's up, everybody? Back on the fixer. So we've done the internal wiring mods. Then we jumped on to the rear fender mods. Actually repaired the rear fender pieces and got a new internal bolt kit made. I know it looks kind of ugly in the videos, but it is all stainless, so I'll probably have it polished out just because I can. Then we moved on to the gas tank mods, which I think turned out really good. On to more mods.
Sorry, bro, but this show's about me.
So the mods that we'll be doing today, it's going to be oil tank mods. I don't like that seam that goes all the way around the oil tank. So what I'm going to do, and that's the thing, is I could just put a early model bagger transmission in there where the oil tank's in the bottom of the transmission, but I don't want to. I want an FXR oil tank. Dude. My favorite pink ratchet is broke. Thanks, Snap-on. Now I gotta go find a Snap-on guy to fix it. That's just crap. Let me grab another ratchet. I'll be right back. Good old trusty Matco. Works like a champ. Anyways, so I don't like, sorry, that's probably loud in your ear. So I don't like the way that seam goes all the way around the oil tank. Still contemplating the cool sight glass. I bought a really cool sight glass from, he had some really cool blue FXRs, and I was following him for a while, and then all of a sudden he kind of disappeared. I think he got into Impalas, but he's from California, but he sells them. It's these cool stainless sight glasses. I think there's some other people that sell them, but I don't know. I really like it. And I thought on the kickstand it'd be cool to see it sitting right there, right? But I don't know. We'll see. You might be wondering, like, yo, bro, like, why do you have those towels there? Well, the actual motor I'm running in the bike is there, but I'm not ready to show everybody that yet. So we're going to keep focusing on the mods, and which I did some mods over here, and I needed the gas or the actual motor in here so I can make sure everything works. So we'll get onto that in a future episode. So there's a little teaser to get you to maybe come back. What else? All right, so let me try to get this out of here, and then we'll move to the fab table and we'll start cutting this thing apart. Let's go do some chopping. I'm not sure why I screwed that back in, but I did. Set this aside, the little grommet. So the FXR tanks are quite different than I thought they were. And by the transmission, the swing arm, the battery box area, like, it makes it hard to really do something really cool with these oil tanks. And then the way it's all set up, primary locations, the primary comes right here. So I had to figure out what does what, because on an FXR, this is facing forward. So on the right-hand side, you got nothing. This is actually the return, which on most bikes, that's gonna be your feed line, because it looks like it's at the lowest part of the motorcycle, but it's not. This is gonna be your return. So this is where the hot oil from your oil filter comes back into the oil tank, but it doesn't come in there. There's actually a tube that pushes it up to the top and lets it put the hot oil on the top, so it gives it time to cool as you start to use the other oil. Now on this side is the drain hose. So this goes across, and then it kicks back up to this little piece on the left side of the motorcycle. So it comes from here, and then it goes around, and then it kind of just puts on here, and that's kind of like the plug for the oil. And then you just unplug this and then lean it down to drain your oil. Well, that's going to put oil all over my swing arm. So sorry, Harley, we're not going that route. So I'm probably going to go ahead and just cut this off and then plug it, so we won't drain from there. Then you have, and I got them marked so I won't forget, this is the vent line. This is the vent line that comes from the motor so it can vent. So if you are running your motor hard and it's spitting a little oil out of the bottom end, or out of the bottom end of the motor. It'll just spit it back in here. So there's actually a tube that goes up and it goes to the very top, so that way you don't want to fill your oil too much, because then it'll feed oil into the motor instead of letting it vent out. And then you have your feed. The feed line here just goes inside and it's going to pick up everything from here. So it doesn't pick up from the very bottom of the tank, but pretty damn low. So that's kind of nice, because if you have any kind of metal that's going through your motor, it'll feed it back here. It'll hopefully drain and come back here, and your motor will only pick up clean oil. So, but hopefully you don't have metal in your motor, so you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. We're going to use these same lines, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these off, and I'm going to weld on 1/8 inch MPT fittings, so I can screw in some nipples here that will be for AN fittings. We're going to use all AN lines on this bike as well. I do it on a lot of, oh, that's somebody just pulling up. It's just the train. So we're going to use AN fittings. I use AN fittings on a lot of my builds that I do. I don't like hose clamps, worm clamps, any of that stuff. It's just a pain in the butt to take them on and off. So I'm going to use AN fittings. If you're not familiar with AN fittings are basically what you use on brake lines and stuff like that. So these are bigger. Those brake lines are -3. These are -6, so they've got bigger orifices, so they travel more fluid. But it's got that rounded, cool, and then this would be the hose side, the female side. So these will be sitting out of the tank, and then these screw onto them. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this. Now, you can weld AN fittings directly onto things, but I don't do that, because if you damage this AN fitting and it's welded on there, you have to cut it off. So if for some reason dirt got in here and I was on the side of the road, I had to take the, well, whatever, it gets damaged, I'm screwed. So I always put the MPT fittings, weld those in, and then you can always screw this in, and then if something happens to it, you can unscrew it, throw it in the trash, screw another one on there, and you're good to go. That is what we'll be doing with this. Angle of the dangle is going to be the key feature. We got to make sure we get this right. So I want this one, and then I want the other one to be right under it. I can stack one this way, and then the next one behind it will be just below it. So you get the two lines going together like that and curving around. Like I said, we're going to cut this in half. What I'm probably going to do is probably cut this bottom mount off carefully, so that way I don't damage the oil tank, and that's going to have the spread correctly where it needs to be. Then I'm going to cut the tank on one of these sides. Not sure which side yet. This one's not so bad. This side's a little taller than this side, but right here you can see the big difference. It's a lot taller than this side. So trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. Maybe I can fake it till I make it. Maybe I can just have it to where it's just at a little slant, so nobody can really tell that it's not flat, but we'll get this flat. The bottom can be flat. The back can be flat. This one won't be flat, so when we put it back together, more than likely, if I cut this edge off, I will cut it here, and then we'll weld it so it'll still have the little step on the top piece. But all right, let me get to chopping. Okay, I'm tired of messing up all my shirts because they're all, yeah, they get all jacked here, so tired of messing up my shirts. All right, so I got it cut all the way around. I forgot I got to cut this off first, so let me get this cut off, and then I'll show you the inside of an FXR tank. Let's see if I got this loose at all, without beating it up too bad. I love that sound. So just so you know, what I did to get a nice clean cut all the way around is I laid this on that lip, and I had it long enough to where this wasn't touching the lip, and I laid it on that lip of the tank, or that seam, whatever you want to call it, and I just rested it on there, and I just went across that all the way around, and that's what kept me in line. There might be oil in here, so I'll open it up. There's sludge, there's a washer. So remember I was telling you You got the vent is the front and the feed is the back. So the front is the vent. See how it goes all the way to the top of the oil tank? That's so oil doesn't get into the oil tank. So never fill your oil tank all the way to the top. Always leave some room at the top for the ventilation. The feed line isn't exactly at the very bottom. It kind of sticks through a little bit, which is fine. That means stuff like this isn't going to come out. So this oil tank definitely needed to be cleaned up. This motor was smoked when I got the bike back from the kids. So the first time I started it up, it didn't sound good. I opened it up. Sure enough, pistons were all jacked up, scored. This kid was just riding it hard and never doing oil changes. But hey, it's his bike. Let him do what he wants. I got it back and I'm definitely going through it. So yeah, that's some sludge. So anytime you buy a bike and you rebuild it, clean your oil tanks. Putting cams and stuff in your bike, clean your oil tanks. You don't know what all has been going through that motor. There's a washer. Like, maybe that fell in it while it's been moving around. I don't know, but that's something you definitely want to look out for. This is the right side, so this is the return line. See, it sends the oil all the way up to the top. So that way, it gives it time to cool down until it gets used on the other side of the tank. And usually it'll return to one side of the tank, the oil tank, usually as far away from the feed as possible. That's just so that way gives the oil time to cool down and whatnot. So let me stop talking, clean off my finger. I'm going to clean out the insides of these real quick, and then we'll get back to chopping. So unfortunately, my parts washer, it was coming out more oil than it was solution, so it didn't work. And then I was trying to wipe it in. I cut the crap out of myself, so I deburred it real quick. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mark. So this is the one I want to keep the flange because of that high-low looking little area, which, oh wait, no, it goes that way. So that one. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this, and then I'm going to cut the flange. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it straight down from here and then all the way around and then just go straight up. So that way I have this whole flange. So let's get that cut. All right, hopefully you can hear me because the compressor kicked on. Perfect, now it's off. So that's going to be pretty cool when it's all nice and lightened up. I left the ridge on for the top. I got to remember where this mount location is. So what I might do is I might cut it so that it's at a triangle. And then when I trim all of this back for the edge and everything like that, we'll do some detail work. And then I'll probably reinforce it from this side just so that way we know that it's going to be nice and strong. I don't think I'll actually need to do that. I think it's going to be strong enough. We shall see. There is a little bit of a little lip after cutting that off. So I want to flatten that all out, make sure it's nice and flat. And I'll do the same on this one. I'm going to probably hit it with a sander real quick to get all that stuff off because I'll need it clean of powder or paint before I weld it. But let me hit this with with a disc, and then we'll go from there. Tap it down and then weld it together. I'm trying to find my... Oh, it's right here. Darn. All right, so you've probably seen me. I ground down all of the powder paint off of it. It'll need to be completely stripped before it goes to powder coat or chrome. I just might. I think the bike is getting too much black on it, so I'm probably do this mod and take it and have it chrome plated. We'll just have to see how the metal finishing comes out because I don't want chrome that's like woo woo woo. But yeah, so what I'm doing right now is I am kind of tapping it because there's a weird little wave at the bottom, which it's under the tank, so it's not a big deal. I just want to make sure when I weld it that it's flat, so when I grind the weld smooth, it's going to be completely smooth. We'll go over that later. But, you know, starting and stopping with the cuts, you can see the little gap there. I don't know if you can see it, but anyways, and then there's a gap up here because it actually needs to be flush with that, so I got to figure that out. There's 2 layers that are pinched here, but to get that out, I'm not sure what I can do to get that out. So I'm gonna see if I can pry it off and get that off and then tap this a little bit out of the way. So that way I can get this to fit a lot better. Might have to take some material off to get that to fit in there because of the one's higher than the other. And that's too much gap. I don't want to fill that much gap. So if I can squeeze it in just a little bit better, I'll feel a lot happier. Actually, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is, I forgot that we're not keeping this whole lip. It should look like one smooth piece when I'm done with it. I'm going to tell you right now that these 2 pieces, when they're pressed together, they're definitely not exactly mirror images. I was a little short on the front, but I'm definitely on the back because I lost my line. Oh, baby. So the front fits like a glove. The back, I cut it a little too far down, but I think I can make it work still. So you can see the front. So you can see I got that big gap. So I call it a big gap. I mean, it's maybe the width of this little pick. Now here comes the hard part is, once I get this top lined up, the bottom is off. So got to figure out how I'm gonna get all of these spots to line up. I think if I start with the important sides, which is going to be this front and the top, if I start with them and get them kind of tacked in place, I can negotiate pushing and prodding with picks and hammers to get it to where when I weld it, it will be damn near perfect. So let me go ahead and do that. Got to move stuff around because I was TIG welding on a rear end for another project, on a car rear end, truck actually. And so it's kind of stashed far away, my TIG welder. So let me get that back over here. This is gonna be fun. Not really. Let me get stuff situated. I got oil and crap all over my hands. Let me get cleaned up a little bit. And actually, I'm gonna go try to get some contact cleaner so I can clean this really good before we weld it, because I don't want any kind of porosity, little spitting and sputter BS on this tank while I put it back together. Oh yeah, we were gonna weld the other things first. I don't even know if I have any, to be honest with you. Guess I could always machine some, so maybe that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna machine some fittings and bungs. So let me clean up, figure out what we're gonna do, and I'll pick back up. So I've looked through all of my stuff. I did find a couple, but they're stainless steel. And I found one that would work, but that's one. I need 3. So got some material. I think I got another little piece somewhere. So I'm gonna machine some 1/8" MPT bungs. You only have as much flow as your fittings will flow. So, or the oil pump. So, I mean, they're 1/8" MPTs on the oil pump. So if I went with 1/2 inch, it doesn't matter. It's only going to funnel down to the 1/8" MPTs on the motor. So going to go with 1/8" MPTs. Let me get some machined up, and we'll come back and we'll weld these on there. We'll cut these out, weld them all up, reinstall them, re-weld them up, and then we'll start tacking this thing back together. All right, let's go. Machine 2, I'm gonna go ahead and use the one that I had already. So I'll use that one for probably the return. Yeah, the return. And then I have the matching ones. Not that they're gonna make a big difference, but I got the matching ones. So that way they match, whatever. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut the vent tube out. I'm gonna try to put just a nice little slice in it and then cut this all the way out. Gonna do a drill bit to get enough meat in there to cut this tube out so it comes out. Drill this hole out. We're gonna weld one of these onto the tube on the desk, and then I have to clean up the tube, get it to slide through, get it to line back up to where it was. This is gonna be protruding into the tank a little bit, which is fine. And then I can put the spot tab back in there so that the tube's not wobbling around in there. And I'm gonna try to cut it as close to the tube as possible. That way I don't burn through this thin shell, because that's already gonna be fun when I weld the whole thing up and grind it all out. But yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. Cutting more of the tube than I am the weld. Whoops, whoops. So I got, those are cut off. And I cut the weld out. Let me drill, get this out of here. Cool. Instead of drilling this second one out with the tube, I think I'm gonna cut the tube as close to the bottom of the tank as possible first. The reason I did that is because when I drilled that out, that's gonna be a big hole and I didn't want to tear up a bunch of this tube. So yeah, that's why I did that. So there was a tube inside the tube. So I was deburring it. I was like, that kind of looks funny in there. So probably what it is there's this tube and then they have that nipple, and when they put it in there, they probably fusion welded in there, but we got rid of that. Whew-wee. We might have to take a break from YouTube videos this summer because I'm sweating like crazy because I can't have my fans on because then you can't hear me. So be sure to like and subscribe. That way I can afford to get some AC somewhere, something, figure something out. Jeez Louise, this is crazy. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah, let me drill this out now. Now reminder, this is your oil tank. You get one shot at it. There's like cue the 8 Mile song. Get one chance. Anyways, deburr the crap out of it. Make sure you deburr it 5 times. Let's do 5-time deburr, okay? That's gonna be the official magic number. You don't want those little metal shavings to accidentally come loose and then get ran through the oiling system. So there we go, got it where we're gonna have them. Whoop. Now I can adjust the length and the height and all that stuff. So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna clean this bad boy up. Gosh, dang it. Hate that I did that, but I'm gonna go ahead and put some weld on there, clean it up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start putting some weld on there, so when I get it close to that piece, I can just kind of just put a little and be done. I'm gonna drill this out like counterbore a little bit so that this pipe will go inside, and then I'm gonna weld it around the outside. Now it's very important, okay? Here's the thing, when you're modifying or doing any of this stuff, you gotta make sure you weld it really good. It's gotta be completely airtight. I can't express how important this is, because what happens is if you get a hole here, oil's gonna go in there, and when you shut off your motor and you're just sitting there, this is being the vent line, the oil's gonna go right down that tube and fill up the bottom end of your bike. So you have to, I can't express it enough, how important it is that you weld this vent line up very good. All right, so I hope you guys can hear me with the fan on. It's too damn hot. I can't do this without the seal. So I did counterbore it. So now, whoop. I didn't go crazy deep to where it's gonna hold it in place, but I went deep enough to where now I can go ahead and weld it on there. So we'll put a nice little tack right here, probably add a little filler rod. And I'm not welding it to impress anybody, but full weld all the way around. Now I can weld it in here, around the outside there, and do the tack weld on the inside. So I have these like really strong magnets from Home Depot, and I keep a lot of them around just for holding stuff and whatever. And then I got these Fireball Tools little shim things. I got a whole box of them, but this is the little thin one. So what I did is I'll show you what I did. So I put them in there. That's kind of giving me my average height. And then I'm putting this plate in here on top. And so what that's going to do is now make sure I have my rounded side or the beveled side. And I'm going to go ahead and just set it in there. And that's going to hold it at the depth that I want. So I want it real tucked in, real close to the oil tank. That way, because I still have to put the fitting in, and then the line coming, then the oil line itself is coming in. So with those long spigots sticking down and then the hose and stuff like that, I think I have enough to just put a straight one in there with a little AN fitting, and then I can plug right into that. Should have enough clearance over the primary, but we'll have to double check it. Maybe what we'll do is we'll tack it in. We're just going for it. Screw it. Let's just do it. All right, here we go. The magnets. I was trying to weld right on top of the magnets. So I'm going to put my tacks in away from the magnets. Let's see if that helps, because these are strong magnets. Let's see. One tack. It's not the best tack, but that's going to have to work. Get this and my magnets out. Well, this is not how I wanted to end the day. When I put those gouges in this little piece of tube, I tried to weld it up and I blew through it. So then I cleaned it up and I put aluminum in there to try to weld it up from the outside. Then I couldn't get the aluminum out, and now it's all boogered. It looks horrible inside. I don't want any of this stuff going through my motor, so that sucks. So what I'm gonna do is go get some tubing, which it's Sunday afternoon. I'm not gonna be able to get anything. I've checked all over the shop, I can't find any. So I'm gonna have to go get some aluminum tubing, just round tubing. I think it's like 3/8-ish outside diameter. So anyways, I'm gonna go see if I can find me a little chunk of tubing, not aluminum, tubing. And I'm gonna have to remake this tube. And then I'm gonna have to cut it off of there, weld on the new one, and then get back after it. So anyways, the bottom, that one is in there. I did warp this a little bit, so I kind of hammer it out. Looks better. I really hate that dip in the factory, that the factory put in there, but whatever. I will see you here in a little bit for you guys, in a day or two for me. All right, I'm gonna go spend time with my family. See you in a little bit. What's up, everybody? So we're back. I did get some, whoa, no, that's solid rod. Where did it go? It's over there. Anyways, well, I wanna show you some, oh. So I did get some tubing, but I couldn't find anything thin wall like this. So I found some little thicker wall tubing. So I got it bent, and I was afraid to kink it. So it's actually got like a real large radius curve in it, but it is what it is. I did cut the tube, this tube that was already welded on. I cut it off, machined that piece out. So now I can go ahead and weld that in, but I wanted to show you that I did have to replace this. I am going back with something new. So now I can weld it back in the oil tank. Now the problem I'm having is, since I've been waiting to get the materials to do this, is I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get the return line back to the tank, because it's just in a horrible spot. And I noticed that the line rubs and, you know, there's not enough room around a couple areas that I'd like to get it through, and I don't want it to go through the swing arm, because if for some reason you got to take the swing arm off, I don't want to have to disconnect the oil lines, and so I'm still working on that. So today we probably will not be finishing the oil tank until I get some time to look at this and figure it out. But let me go ahead and weld this bung to the tube, and then we'll get it welded back in this left side and go from there. And I do think I'm still going to get rid of this drain line, I believe. Let me think about that, because I do kind of like, you can drain the oil while it's on the kickstand, but you really don't have to do that, because I was just gonna drain it by the oil pump. I have way too many things I gotta figure out, it feels like. So, all right, well, let me get this welded up, get it welded back in the tank, and we'll go from there. Kind of still have a mess from the last time I was working here. Actually, I made a bigger mess and then I cleaned it up, and now it is what it is. Okay, so yesterday I just got in my head and I just was like, you know what, I hadn't figured anything out, so I gave up. Put my tools down, hung out for a little bit, worked on some other stuff, and then I left. We're gonna get this oil tank knocked out today, whether I like it or not. So we're gonna figure this all out, we're gonna get it all done, and we're gonna have it completely finished today. Let's get at it. So that's why I wanted to explain wearing a different shirt. So I'm still gonna weld these together, and then we're gonna get it welded in the tank, and then probably tack it together so I can kind of figure out oil line placement. Whoops. So I can figure out oil line placement in the bike, and we'll go from there. So take two. So I got it welded in, and then I was cleaning off a lot of this paint or powder or whatever was bubbling up around it, but I got to strip it anyways, so why not do it now, right? So I think I'm gonna throw it in some solution to strip all of this stuff on both sides. Kind of like to see what it looked like shiny. Look at all the wiring just rubbing on the side of that oil tank previously. It'd also be nice to just get all that off, so that way when I'm welding, it's not gonna be burning and stuff, and stuff's nasty. Oh, the drain. I think I'm gonna drain the motor oil. I think I'm gonna drain the motor oil from the oil pump, actually. Yeah, and then keep the whole left side of the bike clean. So I'll probably just cut this off and then just weld it shut. So, don't use stripper, use sandpaper or stripping disc. What a mess, what a S show. So I got them all cleaned up though. They look pretty sick, almost look like stainless, like cool stainless steel oil tank. You gotta be actually kidding me. That was a fall, bro. So I lucked out. I only got that back little corner, which is gonna sit behind the frame. And I can't get to it because that tube's in the way to try to knock it out. So I guess it lives there. So when you see the bike, look for the dink. All you can do is laugh, because what else am I gonna do? Get online and find a oil tank? Just kidding, I'm not doing that. Oh yeah, I forgot to cut that off. So let me get that cut off and weld shut, and we'll get to welding this bad boy back together. That looks cool, all stainless looking, huh? Alrighty then. I forgot to add the little support welds to keep those things from tingling around. Oh, Forgot to hit that one. You can see where it kind of burned a little bit. Let's hit it real quick. Now I got rid of that little mark. Beep, beep. Didn't get rid of the dent, but we got rid of the mark. So that's what that little plug looks like. So what I am gonna, yeah. So what I am gonna do is, just in case you're asking me like, oh, if you notice the bike is rusting already, I forgot to put this on the fenders, and some of the frame I've been sweating and it's been hot in Texas. So just a reminder, I use Gibbs, G-I-B-B-S. It's a Gibbs brand. It's a mega penetrant, ultra lubricant, corrosion inhibitor, water repellent, metal protector. I spray this on stuff. It kind of sprays. So I just spray some in there. Get some paper towels, lint-free paper towels, of course. Just because this is raw metal, it's been welded. What else can I tell you? I just don't want anything to rust. Well, I still have 4 months to get this bike up and running. Now, I do believe you can weld over this, through this, on this. So I'm not too worried about it. But what we're gonna do is we are gonna purge weld this up, and I'll show you all about that here in a little bit, but I just wanna triple check fitment. Everything looks like it's gonna go together so nice. So the main ones that I'm worried about is this front and the top. I wanna make sure those bad boys go together nice and perfectly. All right, so purging. That's when you put welding gas into, sorry about that. When you put the welding gas into the tank or the pipe, stainless steel pipe or whatever. So if you notice, I have tape on everything. All the holes are taped up. I have the hose coming in through the bottom, just out of that fitting. You always want it at the lowest because the gas is gonna fill up and it's gonna squeeze all the oxygen out of it. So what I'll do now is I'll turn on my regulator to just like 5 PSI, because you don't want to waste gas. It's got about 5 PSI. I can hear the gas flowing inside. And for now, there's little gaps and stuff everywhere, so I'm not gonna poke the hole in the top. But anytime you're doing like a exhaust pipe or something like that, usually you'll poke holes in the very top port that you have done. Like I have these for pipes, exhaust pipes, you put it in there, and then this one has a little filter to kind of break up the gas-ish, and then you'll plug up the other side, but you'll have like a little relief in it. Whoops. So, I mean, doesn't matter, I guess I could, I guess just so I don't forget later, just poke like 5 holes with your tungsten, and that's plenty to get that out of there. So let me go ahead and run a couple of beads and see where we're going. This metal is crazy thin and it's like it's wanting to burn away, so I'm putting very little heat and adding a lot of welding rod. So far, everything's working out pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and let that cool a little bit before we weld any more there. Don't want to scratch it, so woohoo! It's hot. It's hot on my lap. I don't think this will. Now these don't have to be perfect, beautiful, pretty welds. They just got to be sealing welds, welds that are sealing up. Because because they're going to be knocked down anyways. So I'm just trying to, so you get the idea of what I'm doing. I'm going to swap this out, and then I'm going to start trying to weld the rest of it in. And yeah, so we'll be right back. Done purging. This tank is super hot. I'm not touching it for a while, so once I get once I let it cool off, then we'll do a little bit of grinding and a little bit of polishing up and see what she looks like. Not pretty good though, so far. I'm super curious. I don't think you guys can see it, but like, yeah, it's welded all on the inside. Ah, that came out so good. Ah, I'm stoked. So you'll see some of the, I missed this one piece. That's okay, I can grind it all out, and then I just got to weld right across here. But anyways, you'll see a lot of the stainless pipe guys, they'll purge their stuff, and then the inside welds look just as good as the outside welds. Well, it's not that crazy cool, good looking, but it's pretty darn good. I'm happy. So I was just worried because if I didn't get a good weld and I grind the outside, I was worried about the inside leaking or whatever you want to say. So yeah, I'm pumped. Let's get this grinded. Woohoo! I'll put tape so that way I don't get all that grind dust back in there, and then just more stuff I have to clean out. Woohoo! Look at how clean that's starting to come out. I'm pumped. Super pumped on it. I think it came out great. Well, that's it. Time to get it in the, actually no. I know some of you probably saw the bottom and saw those scratches. I still got to reconfigure this because there's actually 3 holes for the oil tank to mount, and the 2 wide ones, this outside one is hitting the starter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remake this to where it's over next to it on the other one, and then make a piece that goes across to the other side of the tank to help support it. So I might even make it out of a little bit thicker than this is. And that way it'll have a nice support. It sits this way. So it'll have a nice support going all the way across, but it'll mount 2 bolts on the primary side of the bike. I kept that little step in there just because that would have been a lot of sheet metal work to cut that, set it down, get it all to match up. I don't want any more holes or seams that I can have. I need to put the piece in. I need to get some plugs so I can plug it up, and then I can just put a little bit of air in it, put it in water, make sure that there's no leaks in it, and make a mount. And then I think I cut the piece out and I can't find it. I'm sure I set it down somewhere. Surprise. But that other piece will go in here, and then I'll run a bead around the top, and then I'll run a good one across here also. That way this is twice as thick back to what it was because I cut the other side off. So I'll do that and that, air test it, and then make the new mount, and then I'll get it bolted in the bike. But huge accomplishment getting this done. So appreciate you watching and following along on the FXR Tour build, Pop's FXR build. And yeah, I'm Adam Garley, and I'm out. Peace. See you in the next one.